Did you know that over half of Bangladesh is under 25? More than 80 million young people are about to inherit a nation on the brink of transformation. This is Bangladesh's Gen Z, a generation raised on the internet and hungry for progress. They are tech-savvy, globally connected, and acutely aware of the challenges facing their nation.
We are a generation that has grown up with technology at our fingertips. We see the world differently and are not afraid to demand change.
India's Research and Analysis Wing, known as RAW, operates in a world of secrecy and intrigue. Formed in 1968, RAW is tasked with gathering foreign intelligence, combating terrorism, and conducting covert operations to protect India's interests.
Our work is shrouded in secrecy. The very existence of RAW was only officially acknowledged by the Indian government in the 1990s. We operate undercover, often posing as diplomats, businessmen, or journalists, gathering information and conducting operations with little oversight or accountability.
Bangladesh's Gen Z faces a unique set of challenges. Born into a rapidly developing nation, they grapple with issues like poverty, inequality, and climate change.
One of the biggest challenges for us is the shrinking space for freedom of expression. The government's Digital Security Act, passed in 2018, has been widely criticized for stifling dissent and curtailing freedom of speech online.
Climate change poses an existential threat to Bangladesh. Rising sea levels, more frequent cyclones, and erratic rainfall patterns are already displacing communities and destroying livelihoods.
Despite these challenges, we remain resilient. We are harnessing the power of technology to raise our voices, organize protests, and demand change.
Operating in the shadows, RAW faces its own set of challenges. The agency must constantly adapt to a rapidly changing global security landscape, characterized by new and evolving threats from terrorism, cyber warfare, and state-sponsored aggression.
The compromise of an agent's identity could have deadly consequences, both for the individual and for the success of the mission. It's a risk we live with every day.
The agency also faces political pressure, both domestically and internationally. RAW's covert operations, while often necessary, can sometimes violate international law and norms.
Despite these challenges, RAW remains a vital part of India's national security apparatus. Our work is often dangerous and always secretive, but our dedication to our mission remains unwavering.
Bangladesh's Gen Z is driven by a desire for a more just, equitable, and sustainable future.
They are passionate about social justice issues, such as gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and the rights of marginalized communities.
They are also deeply concerned about the environment and the impact of climate change on their country.
Social media has become a powerful tool for Gen Z activism in Bangladesh. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram allow young people to connect with each other, share information, and organize protests.
The hashtag #LetUsBreathe, for example, was widely used during the 2020 protests against the Digital Security Act.
Beyond online activism, Bangladesh's Gen Z is also taking to the streets to demand change.
They have organized peaceful protests and demonstrations on a range of issues, from demanding justice for victims of sexual violence to calling for action on climate change.
RAW's operations are shrouded in secrecy, but their impact is undeniable.
The agency plays a crucial role in gathering intelligence on terrorist groups, monitoring hostile states, and protecting India's interests abroad.
One of RAW's primary functions is to gather intelligence on terrorist organizations operating in the region. This involves recruiting informants, infiltrating groups, and intercepting communications.
The information gathered by RAW is crucial for preventing terrorist attacks and bringing perpetrators to justice.
Beyond counter-terrorism, RAW is also involved in monitoring the activities of hostile states, particularly Pakistan and China.
This includes gathering information on military capabilities, political developments, and economic activities.
The intelligence gathered by RAW helps India to formulate its foreign policy and safeguard its national security. Bangladesh's Gen Z has already had several defining moments in their short history. These moments have not only shaped the nation's political landscape, but also highlighted the power of youth activism in the digital age.
One of the most significant moments for Bangladesh's Gen Z was the 2018 student protests demanding road safety.
What began as a localized protest following the death of 2 students hit by a speeding bus quickly escalated into a nationwide movement.
Students from all walks of life took to the streets, demanding accountability from the government and better road safety measures.
The protests, largely organized through social media, brought the country to a standstill for over a week, forcing the government to concede to the students' demands.
The event marked a turning point in Bangladesh's political landscape, demonstrating the power of Gen Z's collective voice and their ability to effect real change.
Another pivotal moment was the 2020 movement against the Digital Security Act.
RAW's victories are rarely celebrated in the public eye, but their impact on India's security is undeniable. The agency has played a crucial role in preventing terrorist attacks, neutralizing threats, and safeguarding India's interests on the world stage.
One of RAW's most significant victories was its role in the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. RAW operatives provided crucial intelligence and support to the Bangladeshi freedom fighters, helping them to secure their independence from Pakistan. This operation, codenamed Operation Jackpot, is considered one of RAW's most successful and daring missions.
Another notable success for RAW was the foiling of the 2001 Indian Parliament attack. RAW operatives, working with other intelligence agencies, were able to intercept communications and gather intelligence that helped prevent a major terrorist attack on the Indian Parliament.
RAW's role in counter-terrorism operations in the region has been equally significant.
Bangladesh's Gen Z and India's RAW represent 2 very different approaches to change. Gen Z, fueled by idealism and a desire for a more just and equitable society, operates in the open, using social media and peaceful protests to amplify their voices and demand change from their leaders.
RAW, on the other hand, operates in the shadows, its methods often clandestine and controversial. Bound by duty and driven by necessity, RAW operatives work to protect India's interests, often in morally ambiguous situations where the lines between right and wrong are blurred.
Their work is rarely acknowledged, their success is rarely celebrated, but their impact on India's security is undeniable.
Despite their contrasting approaches, both Gen Z and RAW are shaping the future of their respective nations.
The relationship between these 2 forces is complex and often adversarial. Gen Z's demands for transparency and accountability often clash with RAW's need for secrecy and covert action. The question of whether Bangladesh's Gen Z or India's RAW has a greater impact is a complex one. Both groups are shaping the future of their respective nations in profound ways, but their approaches, motivations, and methods are vastly different.
Gen Z's impact is visible in the streets, on social media, and in the halls of power. Their activism is forcing governments to address issues like climate change, social justice, and freedom of expression.
RAW's impact is more subtle, often hidden from public view. Their work in intelligence gathering, counter-terrorism, and covert operations safeguards India's security and influences its geopolitical standing.
Ultimately, the question of whose impact is greater is a matter of perspective. Both groups are essential to the fabric of their respective nations, and their contributions, however different, are shaping the destiny of South Asia.
The struggles and aspirations of Bangladesh's Gen Z are not unique to South Asia. Across the globe, young people are rising up, demanding action on issues like climate change, social justice, and economic inequality.
From the streets of Hong Kong to the universities of the United States, young people are challenging the status quo and demanding a better future. They are the ones who will inherit the consequences of climate change, economic inequality, and political polarization, and they are refusing to be silent.
The fight for a more just, equitable, and sustainable world is a global one, and Gen Z is at the forefront. Their energy, idealism, and determination are a source of hope in a world facing unprecedented challenges.
This is not just a story about Bangladesh's Gen Z or India's RAW. This is a story about the power of youth activism, the importance of national security, and the complex interplay between the 2.